Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about this rumor that Disney is restructuring how Marvel Studios is going to release movies and shows. Now, this is a rumor. It's not our rumor. It's coming from a site called Cosmic Circus.
So take it as you will.
So maybe it's, oh, it's a space clown show. But no, it's making the rounds. A couple people have done articles on it. I think Bounding in the Comics did an article on it. Inside the Magic, I think, might have. Or we're going to take a look at this and kind of tie that into what Jonathan Kasdan is saying over at Lucasfilm, that these Marvel specials in some ways, like the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special and
Werewolf by Night,
by Night, are actually a better way to go than these series that just drag on too damn long.
I agree.
And both of those I liked. I actually did.
I think they need to go with that direction moving forward, or make shows that maybe aren't like so long.
Yeah, they definitely need to do something, and maybe with Bob Iger back. Sorry, I'm joking. No, but they got to get this under control because we're entering Phase 5. There have been multiple articles out there about how Phase 4 was completely underwhelming, and there was no ending for Phase 4.
This is what they know is coming out in Phase 5.
Yes.
Look at the sheer number of things. There's, I don't know how many. We'll talk about that in a minute. But before we get into it any further.
Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rant scats. Over 282,000 subs. We're over 200. Finally. Thank you so much for the support. Hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. We do talk about Marvel. We talk about Disney. We talk about Hollywood. We talk about Phase 4.
Phase 4. I like that better than MCU Phase 4. There's 24 things listed here. 24
things. That's basically what they are at this point. I don't even look at oh, hey, there's a new Marvel movie coming out. I can't wait. It's oh, there's another Marvel thing coming out.
Except for Daredevil.
Yeah, except for Daredevil, right? So look, there have been rumors that things aren't going well at the House of Ideas.
It doesn't even take rumors. I mean, just by the sheer, you can just see it.
Yeah, they're delaying 5 and 6. They're moving movies around, and I think that they are starting to panic a little bit because Phase 4 was very much a mixed bag. There were some things that were okay, and there were some things that were and there were some things that were just really not good. And the audience, I mean, what is not up for debate is that the audience declined.
Oh, they'll debate you anyway. But it's interesting to me. Phase 4 is the one they didn't seem to have a plan for and a direction for. And then all of a sudden, back in July, they were announcing that they were going to a retreat to plan out Phase 5 and 6 because I think they learned that not having a direction doesn't work well. Just ask Star Wars and Disney's sequel trilogy.
Retreat!
Yeah,
So let's talk about this rumor again from Cosmic Circus. Deadline reported that Disney would face some restructuring in the coming months because of Bob Iger returning. With Disney set to change how they operate and handle all levels of its business, one has to wonder what that means for Lucasfilm and Marvel. According to Deadline's report, Disney will face organizational and operational changes within the company to address the board's goals.
Make money?
Please make money. No, basically make money or get the hell out. While the plans are in the early stages, changes in their structure and operations, including within DMED and including possibly distribution, can be expected. We've been talking to our source. Again, this is their rumor, not our rumor.
Yes, but that won't stop Twitter from having a meltdown and saying we're dumb.
They literally just look at the thumbnail and be like, I know what this video is about. We've been talking to our sources about what might be going on with Marvel in regard to Disney's restructuring and have some interesting things to share. I'll break it all down for you in my latest report.
And a lot of this stuff is duh.
This is duh.
Marvel Studios has oversaturation. You don't say.
Too much meh.
Too much meh. They put the meh in Marvel.
Mehville. Marvel's success back when it was developing, rolling out the Infinity Saga was partly due to the way Marvel paced itself. Now it's every week there's a new Marvel thing. God, I forgot they have an I Am Groot
in
coming.
a span of 11 years, they released 23 films. Okay?
Yes.
Let me put that again. Remind you that there's 24 in the image coming for just Phase 5 alone.
Yes.
The projects.
So, the entirety of...
Well, they said 19, but there's 24 I count unless they're counting some of Phase 5. That was 19. Phase 4 is 19. Phase 5 is 24.
Yeah, I know they pushed some stuff back from Phase 4 to Phase 5. which I don't even understand. There was no point. That the whole purpose of the phases, it was like a chapter of the story, like this leads up to this, and this leads to this, and basically, like the first phase is let's introduce all the core Avengers, and the second phase is let's get them all together, and the third phase is let's have them, put them up against Thanos, and now it's just like let's just introduce a bunch of new people.
Let's just bore people to death so they don't go to our movies anymore.
It's just we've gotten rid of all the characters that everybody cares about, so whatever.
I like your phase, man. What did you say, phase?
Oh, phase bore. That's not
phase
mine.
Bore.
Other people have been saying.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Whoever came up with that, I like that. Phase bore. I like that. That's fun.
So a significant part of the audience feels there is an oversaturation of Marvel. Not having a rest period between projects makes it hard for fans to keep up with the saga, and interest in future projects begins to grow stale.
This is like no shit.
No shit.
That's what this whole thing is. It's like you don't say.
All right. There's also the issue of quality control. Having too many projects released at once spreads the production workforce thin. We've heard about that with the
special effects. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This leads to issues with the quality of the final product. And now they're going to be doing things on the cheap because they're trying to save money on Disney Plus, because Chapek spent way more money on Disney Plus than was originally reported, because he was shifting the budgets around.
Allegedly.
So here's what we heard regarding reevaluating the multiverse saga, which I think is a terrible idea for normies. Like having this whole multiverse thing is too damn confusing.
I think it was confusing before, but now you're making it extra confusing. It's like extra steps.
We have received word from our sources, their sources, not ours. Our sources that Marvel Studios is currently reevaluating its release lineup for Phase 5 and 6 as Phase 4 comes to a close. We've been informed of internal negative feedback about how Phase 4 was handled regarding product distribution and quality.
So we did this now caught up to them. There was negative feedback from all the fans for like months, and now internally there's negative feedback.
So the Kevin robot in She-Hulk is going to turn into like an Imperial interrogation droid, and it's going to start zapping bitches over at Marvel.
I guess
that's what he's going to do. This has led to a fear that Phase 5 and 6 are headed in the same direction.
Probably.
Therefore, as a preventative measure to ensure quality control, Marvel and Disney are now reevaluating future releases.
A little late.
Moving forward, they are interested in pushing a quality over quantity approach.
Which we've talked about.
One possible move by Disney would be to develop a sort of creative oversight on Marvel Studios' future releases.
Isn't that what Kevin Feige's supposed to do?
That's what I thought his job was. No, I'll tell you what. Somebody's got Kevin Feige by the balls, because, do you hear the way that these writers, especially like the She-Hulk people, have been talking about him? Mm-hmm. They don't respect him at all. Like, somebody's got to put the
I'm sure they
fear of
say,
Thanos
I have
into
check boxes. You can't tell me what to do. And then he's like, oh, you're right. I can't tell you what to do.
Yeah, but now's the perfect time. If they're going to reorganize Disney, now's the perfect time to go in and be like, I'm going to Thanos that bitch and that bitch and that bitch.
And by the way, I want to point out that bitch is gender neutral.
Bitch is a gender neutral term. Yes, it's 2022. Be a little more progressive. Please keep up. Anyway, we've also heard the idea of these special presentations has gained more traction as a distribution method.
Which is what I've been hearing as well. We've been hearing several people bring that up, that, they're doing so well because people like that. It's like one and done. Or you might have one special and then maybe like next year you might have another special with the same character. You're going to get more people watching those 45-minute, 1 hour, you can probably go an hour chunk than you are these shows that are like obviously could have been condensed to like an hour and a half, 2 hours, but you drug it out to 8 hours.
Most of the Disney Plus shows, Star Wars and Marvel, to me feel like they were supposed to be movies. In the case of like Obi-Wan and Boba Fett, we know they were going to be movies, but they feel like they were supposed to be movies, and they just stretched them out.
They also could have avoided a lot of the shit they got too, because them stretching it out and trying to shove in as much as they could. They put themselves in a position where they made it the Little Leia saga, or they made it the, all about Reva. And they didn't have to. If they had just consolidated it to like an hour and a half, 2 hour special or movie, they could have, had those characters in there, but it wouldn't have been such a focus that people would have, were bored with them and calling it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that Werewolf by Night was the perfect length.
I liked it quite a bit, actually.
I would have been fine with a Moon Knight movie, I think.
I think a Moon Knight movie would have been much better than what they did.
Because there was a movie in there, and there was a whole lot of filler.
It's filler. It's all filler. Most of it is filler. And that's what we're seeing with all these shows.
So just, even, they want the watch time, but I'm like, you're not going to get the watch time if people tune out. Look at what, Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, people were tuning out. Andor, most people forget it exists. I mean, I have heard, to be fair, that it's actually supposed to be pretty okay.
I'm trying to watch it, but it's another one that feels like it's a lot of padded something. And here's the thing too, what you could do then, if you wanted to do these shows and you want all these episodes, then I recommend just dropping them all at once. I mean, I know why they do it, because they want to keep you subscribing for more than 1 month. But the flip side is they could avoid a lot of bad publicity, which turns people off if they had just had the show in its entirety listed these things, because they usually turn people off with the first episode. They have to wait for how many weeks to next week, but you wait for several weeks to watch the whole show. And sometimes the show doesn't even get good until like the 4th or 5th episode.
I think this whole thing is going to end eventually with, I mean, they're talking about Secret Wars and possibly using it as a way to reboot the MCU.
God, again?
But I think that is like the only solution eventually, long term, is like, okay, let this version of the Marvel Universe just kind of peter out, not Peter Parker, but peter out. And then Disney won't, but wait like 10 or 15 years and then just start over and do it right and try to stick closer to the comics. And
at that point, it'd be 20, 25 years plus since they started it the first time. So there'd be not enough time in between there.
Yeah, you can get some younger, fresher, cheaper actors.
I just get tired of the same crap just being rebooted over and over and over again, though.
Well, if I were, look, and I've said this before, this is why I'm not in charge, but if I were in charge of Marvel Comics or DC Comics or whatever, and they're always rebooting their universes, I would actually have a 10-year plan. I'd be like,
they did, but it's over.
But as far as the comics, I would have a 10-year plan. Be like, these are the books. This is the basic storyline we're going to do for 10 years. These are the books we're going to have. These are the creative teams. We're going to try to get these people on these books for 10 years, tell a beginning, middle, end to the story. And then if you want to reboot the comic book universe after that, you're more than welcome to do it.
But they've done that before.
Well, usually what happens is the sales start to slide, they panic, and they're like, oh, we need another number one. But now it used to be like,
God, it's so dumb.
They would reboot comics like they'd reboot the universe like every 10, 15, 20 years. Now it's like every other year. It's like, a new number one. We got a new number one. And the reason they cancel low-selling titles now is so in 18 months they can have another number one.
But it's stupid. And eventually those number ones aren't getting lower and lower in value. They're only doing this, people thought they'd be worth something, but they're not.
No.
So it's just pointless.
So yeah, they're saying that they the projects that are already in post-production are still set for release. The main focus of the reevaluation will be on projects still in pre-production, which includes probably Fantastic Four and X-Men, because we haven't heard jack squat really about either one of those.
And people expected announcements over at D23, and we didn't get any.
No, because this actually kind of jives with what is going on, what we're seeing, and it sounds to me like they don't know what to do with the X-Men, what to do with Fantastic Four. It's like you can't afford to screw those two up. X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man back in the 90s were the only Marvel franchises that had the potential to go mainstream, and that's why they did. That's why they sold the movie rights off, because those were the big ones for Marvel, and you guys can't afford to screw them up. You can't, but they will. They will. So they said the most extreme case is they would just cancel stuff. And I think there was some stuff that was kind of quietly canceled. I can't keep track of all this shit. Who can keep track of all this shit?
There's a lot of things that they can cancel. I don't think anything of value will be lost. But yeah, it's just too much. And people are just, it's like, it used to be like, you have one movie a year, Okay, that's cool. One movie, maybe two. Now it's like, there's a movie every quarter and there's like 5 shows and people just can't, it's too much.
Yeah, basically they... they're
oversaturated the market.
They did, and they bought Star Wars and Marvel thinking that hey, these are evergreen IP, but they are if they're handled correctly. The problem is that Disney's intention, or Disney's go-to, is to just bleed something dry, and at this point you're killing the golden goose.
I think if they had done like they did the first 10 years, and like you said, had a second, okay, from 4 to 6, we're going to do another arc, and we're going to build up to that. And then introduce people and all that, it would have worked. But they're all over the place with 4. They're bringing way too many characters in that could possibly be used in a long running story arc at one time. Yeah,
it just feels like spray and pray at this point. Now with the comics, it made sense. But usually what happened was they would introduce a new character in one book. If that character was popular, they'd spin that character off into another book. And that's one thing I agree with that guy that did the article, and I think it was Variety, talking about Phase 4 had no direction. The one thing I do agree with is that, back in the day, comic book fans were a little choosier about which books they read. Like in my case, with Marvel, I only read X-Men, Spider-Man, West Coast Avengers, and Punisher were kind of my big ones. Fantastic Four.
Punisher, that's like an alt-right dog whistle.
I know, right? But I would dip in and out of Fantastic Four sometimes. But I always made sure I collected all the X-Men books, all the Spider-Man books. But for the most part, unless they had these big events, back then, those characters were mostly self-contained. They would do crossovers a lot of times. Spider-Man was in like everybody's book at some point. But mostly it was like if you followed the Spider-Man books, you just had to buy the Spider-Man books and you knew what was going on. Now it's like you're expected to watch everything, and keep track of all these characters. And I'm telling you, I'm looking at this and I'm like, a lot of these I never even cared about in the comics. Like I'm not going to care about.
Some of them weren't even that big in
They were never that big.
Some of them were just invented just to replace, the ones that were in play now because they didn't have the right checkboxes. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're going to end up killing X-Men and Fantastic Four by the time and Silver Surfer and all that by the time they get to it because everybody's going to be completely so tired of it all. They're just going to be like, I'm done.
And here's where the money is right here.
I know.
Get Fantastic Four and Silver Surfer right. You get the X-Men right. And you can bring these other characters in.
They don't care. They're focusing on everything else. I don't even have words. This is dumb at this point. It really, truly is. There's too much.
Marvel's just dumb.
It's just dumb. Geeky says it's just dumb. No, it is. It's too much. And then I would say Star Wars, same thing. It's just they're oversaturating it. And Iger had made the comment before he was replaced that he thought that they needed to pull back on Marvel and Star Wars because they were oversaturated. And then they didn't because they brought Chapek in and he actually pretty much said when cornered, it was going to be quantity over quality. Because he's like, because we found that our research that those who have more things to watch get more subscribers.
Yeah, and that's it. It's all. There is no creativity. This is all about the numbers. It's all about getting as much out of that goose as you can. But at this point, people are tired. I mean, I literally, and I know I can be a jaded asshole sometimes.
Sometimes.
Most of the time. I don't care about anything coming out from Marvel or Lucasfilm at this point. Like even Willow, I was kind of excited about it, and I've heard kind of okay things.
Well, most people aren't liking it. I did watch it. I did watch Willow. I'm going to say it's not the best thing. Is it as bad as people are saying? No. I don't think it is. I mean, the princess is a pain in the ass. I just don't like her. Can we just not have her in the show? She's a total snotty little bitch. But I'm sure that's probably part of her character development. I can't stand her. She annoys me. I think that they would have been better if they had Val Kilmer in it. I understand why they didn't because he was worried about COVID and given his situation, completely understandable. It just it is what it is. It's only been 2 episodes in. It might get better. It is kind of CW level writing, but I don't think it's as quite as bad as everybody's saying. But it's not like fantastically great either. It's
The only thing that I would say is actually good that I've seen from Disney Plus from other Marvel or Lucasfilm is probably the first season of The Mandalorian. I mean,
yeah, kind of. That's probably about it.
The second season was pretty uneven. I mean, it had some cool.
They better not ruin Ahsoka, or people are going to flipping lose their shit.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't know, but I mean, here's the thing. I mean, Iger has the ability now to come in. I don't think he'll do it, but he does have the ability to come in and be like, "Hey, Kevin. Hey, Kathy. Yeah, goodbye. We're reorganizing. Goodbye. It's all about the money. It's nothing personal."
Well, I don't know if they'll get rid of Kevin Feige, but they need to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy. But they really probably should get more help with Kevin Feige. I think he just can't keep track of it all.
Yeah, I mean, and he kind of fell into this because when he first started, he was just in charge of a handful of movies. Now it's like freaking.
This is like
ridiculous.
In a year or two, how much crap do you get?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want the job though. I'll tell you that.
It's too much pressure.
Mm-hmm. But I agree with Jonathan Kasdan and other people that are saying they think that maybe the specials are the way to go. 45 minutes, an hour, something like that. It's not quite a film, but it's not this long drawn out series. I think that would work.
Yeah, I mean, look, Lucasfilm did it back in the day with the Ewoks movies.
I mean, if you want to introduce a character and you just want to get a quick introduction in there, you don't need a whole series on, Ironheart or whatever. You could just done a special.
Well, think of it as, if we're talking comic book terms, it's like a one-shot,
Yeah,
Put the one-shot out there, the graphic novel out there, and see if there's a demand for that character, or people watch it and they're like, eh.
I think Andor might be good, but I don't think it's 2 seasons. I don't think it's even one. I think one season would have been sufficient, and there's 12 episodes. I'm like, I'm on the second episode, and I was skipping ahead because I'm just like, this is effing boring, and I don't care. And they could have consolidated a lot of it down to just,
It's about the watch time. They're trying to get people to watch, and I just think there's too much pressure on Marvel and Star Wars to carry the entire Disney Plus thing. It's like,
but they're
betting everything on these two declining franchises.
and they're declining because they're putting too much on them. So
yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.